Yo, what's up everybody? It's Victon here with my day 3, basically right after the weekend build update. I'm going to give you guys the POE. I'm going to show you some gameplay at the end, and I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of new trade links. I have a new set of trade links for you guys that's going to be linked in the description for all of the new items that you want to get if you're going towards your quote-unquote in-game version of the build. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Let's go into the POE first, and I'll talk about kind of how I have built this. It's very similar to what I did for that league start, but basically this is where I'm at, and I think this should be your next set of upgrades to get to this point, and then we'll do another build update probably in another 4 or 5 days that'll probably double or probably even triple this DPS. But yeah, so at this point I probably have about 20 to 25 divines invested into this build. We're doing about 48 million DPS, just basic, and then if we are popping our flasks like at the start of a boss, which is the most accurate DPS honestly, because we kill most bosses in under 4 seconds, you do have burst DPS of basically 70 million DPS. That's for about 20 to 25 divines worth, so pretty solid. I have had a banger of a league start. It has been really good. I've been farming in-game bosses for people, doing like boss runs, and I've been making a ton of currency. I've probably made about, I don't know, 45 divines so far. I've helped my Mappy partner. We've been sharing currency as well, so he's exactly the same place that I am right now. I have made a ton of currency this league with this build, and it has been a lot of fun because it is so much damage. It's even more damage than I had at the same point last league, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, it's really good. I have been having a great time. This is where I'm at, and I'm going to show you guys. So path building, nothing too crazy. I'm just kind of looking around to see if there's anything that we did differently. Not really. I mean, the only thing to talk about in the POB really is that we do only have a large cluster. I actually don't even have a great large cluster here. I think I bought this for like 5 chaos or something. It's literally just two passives there, the disorienting display and prismatic heart. The most important thing is the prismatic heart for that all element resistance. Yeah, and then I have a medium cluster, which I actually just bought. This is the last thing that I bought, and it barely gives me any more, well, not barely gives me any more damage, but it does give me a little bit more damage. Right here, this is the last node. So the most important node that you want to get here on your first medium cluster that you buy is Sleepless Sentries. Very good, and it's honestly pretty cheap. I don't know exactly how much it is right now, but I bought mine for like 15 chaos or something like that. But it gives you onslaught if you've summoned a totem recently, so very big. And then I just bought this one for 85C, and let's see how much DPS it gives. Yeah, it only gives me a few million DPS, so not too big there. All you got to do really is get that medium cluster with the Sleepless Sentries first, and you're chilling. Okay, so that's really the tree. Nothing too crazy. I think maybe adjust my ascendancy points on like what I picked first, second, third, fourth. I went with Pursuit of Faith first, and then I went with Arcane Blessing second, which was pretty nice because it gave me free Arcane Surge when I was leveling. That was very good. Then I went with Ritual of Awakening third, which was nice as well because it gave me a bunch of mana regen, obviously a bunch of damage and life regen as well. And then the fourth one that I did was Conviction of Power. Now the reason you take Conviction of Power fourth and last is because you really only need that once you have the Anathema ring, so you can do quad curse. We'll talk about that here shortly. But yeah, that's what I did for those points right there. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm only level 90 right now because I hit 90 and I'm just like farming a ton of in-game bosses for people, and occasionally I do die, which is again not a big deal. I want to make that a point actually. It's okay if you guys die because you're still going to be able to farm these crazy bosses. You're never not going to complete a boss. You're never not going to complete a boss, but you might die 1 or 2 times like every few bosses or something like that. It's totally fine. I really want to stress it. It's totally fine. But with the fact that I'm only level 90, I did spec out of these 2 nodes. Normally you would have these 2 nodes, so like there, if I was level 92, I would have that. Okay, cool. So that's the tree. Let's go over to the skills, and I'll just kind of show you guys where I'm at. Nothing really has changed here. Ice Spear, I did get an Awakened Greater Multiple Projectiles pretty early. I bought mine for 9 Divine. Multi-Totem Crit Damage, added Cold, Hypothermia. Oops, let's get rid of this. No, let's D&D real quick. D&D. And then let's go back to the POB. Okay, so by the way, guys, your 4 link, when you first get your Soul Mantle, is going to be Ice Spear or Freezing Pulse, and then you do greater multiple projectiles, multi-totem, crit damage. Okay, if you get a 5 link, it's probably hard to get 3 greens. So what I was doing is running 3 greens. No, I was running 3 blues, 1 red, and 1 green. And in that case, I did Ice Spear, Freezing Pulse, greater multiple projectiles, multi-totem, crit damage, and faster casting. That was the 5th link that I had for a while because it was easier to get the colors. And then once you get your 6th link, it is not too bad to set this up. Basically, in order to get that 6th link, first off, real quick, how you get a 6th link much cheaper is you want to 6 socket a Soul Mantle. You want to then 5 link it, okay, 5 link it, and then corrupt it, and then pray to RNGesus that you don't poof your item, right? But if you don't poof your item, then you'll now have a 5 link corrupted item that you can use a tainted fusing orb on. It's a 50% chance to hit that 6 link, right? And if it doesn't hit it, it'll go down to 4 links. You're just gonna have to do tainted fusing orbs and go, it's a 50% chance to go up or down. And you're gonna have to go all the way up to 6 link. And that's cheaper than buying a regular 6 link. It typically costs about 2 divines worth of tainted fusings in order to hit it, unless you get really unlucky. So maybe check the market, and if you're going to get a Soul Mantle for about 2.5 divines for a 6 link, that's probably roughly equal to what it would cost in tainted fusing orb. So just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, so once you have a 6 link Soul Mantle and it is corrupted, you can use tainted chromatic orbs to get the colors that you need. It's a 1 in 12 chance to hit it with tainted chromatic orbs. It costs way more if you're going to use the bench to do the 4 green. So don't do that. Use tainted chromatic orbs to hit 3 green, 2 blue, 1 red. And that's the 6 link, and that's the 5 link and the 4 link for you guys. That was a big question a lot of people were asking. We have Flame Dash, Unbound Ailments, Cold Snap, Bone Chill. Basically what we're using for Cold Snap, by the way, is just a buff or a debuff on the boss. They take more cold damage, so it's literally only used on bosses. You throw it under their feet, they stand in a big AoE and take more damage. We have Hatred. You can either use Hatred or you can use Zealotry, doesn't matter. We'll talk about the Annihilating Staff here shortly, and the skill trees that Annihilating Staff can either get Hatred increased effect, or it can get Zealotry increased effect. And on my case, I have a Hatred increased effect, so I am using Hatred. And then you have Eternal Blessing, which means you only get 1 aura, right? So 1 aura is Hatred, but we have a full mana pool because we're using Mind Over Matter, so that is very good. I do have a Cast on Death Portal, which helps me map faster. And then I do have a quad curse setup right now. It's only in a 5 link Annihilating Light. So I have Arcanist Brand, Frost, and I'm going to say this actually in importance, by the way, of curses. Arcanist Brand, Sniper's Mark, Frostbite, Elemental Weakness, Punishment. So if you only have a 4 link Annihilating Light, you're going to drop Punishment. Let's keep that in mind. Once you do get a 6 link Annihilating Light, you're going to add in Enhance, level 4. We have a Lightning Golem here, which does die often, so I usually just kind of pop it right before I do a boss fight. We have Arcane Cloak, Increased Duration, Arcane Surge. And then I have another portal just so I can, place the portal before bosses. And I actually place portals a lot when I'm doing abysses because they can be kind of rippy. So I like run in front of the abyss, place a portal, fight it, move on, right? So yeah, so that's my links. Let's go on over to my gear, and I'll talk about this a little bit. And keep in mind that I do have trade links for all of these. We're going to talk about it here in a second, but I do have that in the description below. So Annihilating Light is the most important item that you're going to get early to get a massive damage spike. So deal triple damage with elemental skills, but at the cost of severe reduction to reduce elemental resistances. You need a ton of resistances to make it work. You actually need 190% all resistances to make it work, okay? So in order to get Annihilating Light up as soon as possible, like I would legit even get a 4 link Soul Mantle and then work on upgrading my rares to have as much resistances as possible to then use Annihilating Light, even before a 5 link Soul Mantle. That's how much damage it is. But yeah, so what you're going to do is get some rares that have a ton of resistances. For example, My helmet here does not have great resistances, but it's okay because the most important thing here is that Ice Spear fires additional projectile. Do not get Heat Shiver. It is too expensive right now for no reason. You can buy a Ice Spear fires an additional projectile for like 5 to 10 chaos and then craft on it yourself. For example, I used Essences of Greed to get this. It's not even a great roll. What I would actually suggest you guys do is use the essences that give you resistances and then try and hit a double or triple 40% plus resistances. And then the life isn't even that important, by the way. You'll notice that. It's basically don't get hit or you die, right? So the life isn't that important, but it's great to have. So if you get those triple resistances, what you should do is then use the other currency, what's it called? Like the, not tainted, the, oh my lord in heaven, the Searing Exarch Chaos Orb, whatever that one is, right? So you use the Chaos Orb from the Searing Exarch Eater of the World stuff, and then you're going to try and get that life there, right? And then you try also and have an open prefix so you can craft that Projectiles Pierce an additional target. That makes your Ice Spear, you can map with Ice Spear if you have this. It's not the best, but it actually is pretty decent. For example, I don't use Frostbite or Freezing Pulse that much anymore. I actually use Ice Spear because I actually have one of my gloves as well. Talk about that here shortly. But yeah, so that's what you want for that. And for your implicits here, for your helmet, you want, most importantly, is the cast speed. You can also get spell damage up there. What else can you get? You can get, I think the other super important one is Cold Pen, but I don't have that yet. The Eater currency to roll this is pretty expensive. It's like almost 2 chaos per 1, so I haven't done that yet. Even though I have the currency, I don't know why I haven't done it, but I haven't. I just have mana regen there. Not a big deal. You do want Cold Pen. Okay, moving on to the gloves. So for gloves, this is exactly what you want. You want a pair that has that increased damage with hits against chilled enemies. Ideally, you also want another resistance on there, but if you can't do that because it's too expensive, don't worry about it. You can still make Annihilating Light work just fine, even if you only have 1 resistance on there. Ideally, you also want Projectiles Pierce an additional target. That's a prefix. Have that open there. Once you get this and the helmet having Pierce additional target, it is like you can literally map with Ice Spear and it feels totally fine. Now, the implicits here are incredibly important. That 15% chance to unnerve enemies is very good. The inflict cold exposure on hit is very good, and you can literally use the lesser forms of those currencies. It's like 1 chaos, or the Eater one, like I said, is 2 chaos. So roll those. It's a ton of damage. Now you absolutely do want dexterity on these gloves as well in order to hit our dexterity cap, so do try and get ones with dexterity. Now here's where we get into our big resist items. So these boots are definitely my min-max boots. I bought these for 1 divine and they're crazy. I'm super happy with them, but try and get as much resistances on here as possible. Again, I'll point out that you don't have to get crazy life on here. It's not like we're going for like 80, 90 life on here. You can get like 40, 50 and be totally fine. It's also good to get some mana on there as well because we are mind over matter. Yeah, and then I do for the implicit there, movement speed. You could also do a chance to avoid element to elements. That is also pretty good. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Another good one is increased damage per endurance charge. I think that gives you about 20% increased damage. Nothing crazy, but that is pretty nice. Now for our amulet, same thing. You want to get as much resistances as possible. If you can, throw on some life. I don't have the craft yet for this, but if I do have it, what I'm actually going to try and get is the projectile damage and projectile speed. That is a veiled modifier from June. So once I get that, I'm going to put that on there instead of life. Like I said, I don't really care about life. I just want damages. Dude, make sure you try and get this on a Kitrin amulet for that strength and dex. You also want to anoint Mark the Prey, which is down here. It's very cheap. It's a sepia, indigo, and black, and it gives marked enemies take 10% increased damage. That's basically just a 10% more multiplier. Very, very, very good. So yeah, that's your amulet. Now your ring 1 is also going to be massive resistances. If you can get some life on there, great. If you can get some mana on there, great. But the most important thing is a ton of resistances. Your second ring is your Anathema. This is massive DPS. It's allowing us to get a quad curse setup, right? Huge DPS. Yes, these are a little expensive. I think they're like a divine, 1.2 divine, something like that. It is absolutely worth it. It's going to be one of your early purchases for sure. For our belt, we do have a Coward's Legacy, which is going to make us have vulnerability 24/7. It also, a good thing to note here is 50% increase effect of curses on you, so you actually have to get 150% curse reduction instead of just the 100%. Keep that in mind. But once you do have the 150%, you're chilling, and you are counted as low life, which you then pick up this node right here. Don't get this node until you have Coward's Legacy, by the way. Pain Attunement for 30% more spell damage. It's huge. As you can see, I'm at 69. I go down to 53. Huge damage boost getting that belt right there. Cool. Going on, we have just a life flask with corrupting blood immunity. This Leviangus flask is absolutely massive. It's like 1 chaos. Get this pretty early. It helps your sustain very much. We have a quicksilver flask, whatever. And do make sure you get a diamond flask, ideally with a capped cast speed roll on there. Use when charges are full as your enchant. And then we do have a Dying Sun. The rolls don't even matter on this thing, guys. Literally get the cheapest one you could get, because that Skills Fire 2 additional projectiles is huge damage. As you can see, we're at 69 million. I'm gonna take this off. We go down to 53, dudes. That's crazy. That's how much damage projectiles give us. So absolutely crazy. Keep in mind as well that I did put 68% increase effect on it. What that actually does is when I press it, the flask is going to last shorter time. It only lasts 5.5 seconds, but it's actually going to take that Skills Fire 2 projectiles to 3 projectiles. Really good. A little bit of extra damage there. Wonderful. Moving on. So this is how I get curse immune, period, right? So you start with the Kikazara rings, like I mentioned in the League Start Guide, right? But how do you move away from that? You need to get jewels. Jewels have curse effect, reduced curse effect on them. Now you can roll up to 30% on the base jewel. You can actually corrupt it for another 25%. So I have a pretty close to perfect one here. I have a 30% and a 25% for 55% reduced curse effect, and I also have some multi on there. Pretty good. For you guys that don't have this belt, you need 3 of these, okay? If you have the belt, you need, I think, 4, and you need some pretty good ones. Just make sure, like I said, it's 100% if you don't have the belt. You need 150% if you do have the belt. We already talked about the large cluster there. We already talked about the medium cluster. Self-flagellation is a huge damage boost. This right here is, I think, what, 180% increased damage just for 1 jewel. You can buy cheap ones, by the way, guys. Even if you buy a 10%, like the worst roll possible, that's 90% increased damage. Very good upgrade. I do have a Rain of Splinters as well. Keep in mind that the reduced totem damage is not that big of a deal. It's not like a less totem damage, it's just reduced. So you could even get like a 50% reduced damage, the worst roll possible, and it still be huge. Like, let's take this off. 69 million. We're going to take this off. It goes down to 62, right? 7 million DPS from this. Very, very good. And I think, so what? It'll probably be like 3 divines for this at the current market. Not a bad pickup. Also keep in mind, by the way, when I show you the trade links here in a second, it's going to be ordered in purchase order. So like what to get first, what to get second, third. So keep that in mind. Moving on, we have another jewel that I have, which is another good example. I have 2 reduced curse effect of you on you, but also elemental resistances, 10% all elemental resistances. That's huge. That's the way that we're going to get the annihilating light resistances up. We do use a couple jewels that have all elemental resistances. So like here's another one, right? I have 27% reduced curse effect and 8 all, and then a little bit of damage. If you get multi on there instead of that spell damage, also very good. And then this last one here, I'm sure is the same thing, right? So I don't need the curse on this one because I guess I already have it. But what you could do is get all resist. You could get multi. You could even get a triple crit multi roll. But for example, I have like cold damage. I have projectile speed. Pretty good. You get projectile damage, that type of stuff, right? Yeah. So that is my gear. For about 70 million DPS. Let's go ahead and get out of here. And let's pull up the POB, or not the POB, the trade links here. I want to just talk about a couple things. To get this build going in the current state, you're looking at spending 1 chaos for the Soul Mantle, 1 chaos for the Kikazara rings, so literally 3 chaos, and you're going to be chilling. You need 2 of these, and you're going to be doing a ton of damage, and it's going to feel really great. Honestly, that's literally all you need to get this build going. I just wanted to mention that because it's crazy. 3 chaos. Now, we do want to talk about this Heat Shiver. Like I said, it is, let's see, about 20 chaos right now. Instead of this, I think it's better, guys, just to go ahead and buy the rare helmet that has the +1 projectile. It's going to be more damage than the heat shiver. Heat shivers are usually like 2 to 3 chaos, but I think a lot of people are using this with other builds this league, so it's just not worth it. We didn't know that going into this league. Now we know it. Don't get it. Just get a rare with the ice spear. Okay, let's talk about the annihilating light. This is huge. You want to get this very early on. Like I said, even before a 5-link soul mantle. In order to make it work, like I said, you need the big resistances. So let's talk about purchase order. You want to get that large cluster first because it is important to get it, because you're going to start running out of skill points. So go ahead and pick that up. It's nothing too crazy. Get that ice spear 1% or +1 projectile helmet pretty early on. Then you're going to want to pick up the anathema pretty early on. It's about 1.2 divines right now, but it is massive DPS. Amulet, we have big resists. Ring, get your big resist. Boots, get your big resist. And at that point, you should be able to get your annihilating light. I would not put any resists on a belt. Maybe you can do a belt with like a ton of life just to simulate having some life, I guess. But I wouldn't put resistances on your belt, because once you get that Coward's Legacy belt, it has no resistances. So it's kind of like you're planning ahead, right? So you don't have to rearrange all your gear later when you get that belt. It's a little tip there. Yeah, and then once you have enough resistances for the annihilating light, we're going to go ahead and buy one of these. And a couple things that you can get that are really, really good for the skill trees, the Crucible skill trees for this. The most common one, which is very good for our build, is 10% more cast speed. You can get that on here and it's fantastic. They also have ones that go up to 60% increase aura effect of zealotry, 60% increase aura effect of hatred. Those are crazy. There is also a skill point that gives you 100 critical strike multiplier at the cost of critical strike chance, but it's actually a local roll, so it actually goes on the staff itself, so that's actually great for us. So that's 100% multi. I think that is in place of the cast speed, so if you find one that has multi instead of cast speed in that tier 2 slot, that's actually perfect. The multi one is better than the cast speed, but the cast speed is a little bit more common. So yeah, those are great. You can also get Arcane Surge increase effect. That's fantastic. What else? I think there's like flat spell damage, which is pretty nice. There's one that just gives increased cast speed, which is pretty nice. There's one that gives increased flat fire, cold, lightning damage to spells. Those are pretty nice. So yeah, keep in mind those. I would at least try and get one that has the more cast speed or the 100% crit multi as kind of like your starting annihilating light, or you could literally just buy like a 3 chaos one, right, and be chilling. It's literally 3 times damage. It's crazy. So yeah, wanted to mention that. And then here's an example of the jewels, 28%, 9 all. It's literally 2 chaos, guys. You can buy a ton of these and you're chilling, and you can get curse immune with just jewels, and then that 30% from the soul of, for the, what's it called, the, I think it's called the soul of Yugal. Let's check in game real quick. It's the Pantheon that gives 30% reduced curse effect. It's, yeah, the soul of Yugal. It's the minor god there that we want. So capture Varahesh. Basically what you do for that, by the way, if you guys don't know, is you purchase one of these divine vessels for 4 chaos. Then you're going to take the map Terrace map. I think I have one, whatever. Yeah, so you take the Terrace map, you put it in the map device with that divine vessel, go run that map, kill the boss. When you come out, go look in your map device again, that divine vessel will be in there. It's filled. You're going to put it in your inventory and you're going to right click it. And once you do that, it is going to give you the extra benefit of that Soul of Yugal, the 30% reduced curse effect on you. So yeah, between that and the jewels, you are chilling with being able to be curse immune. Okay, so that is, I think that's all I wanted to talk about with our gyms over here. This Freezing Pulse I see in game, I'm going to post this in the video description below, so check that out. It's got everything listed in exactly the order of what you want to buy. Let's see if there's anything I missed in here. I guess I didn't talk about this. So one thing that you can do, the POE Trade website has been hella broken today, so I'm not sure if this is going to work, but let's try it. Let's look at Coward's Legacy belt. Oh boy, yep, it's broken. So Coward's Legacy belt, you can either buy this straight up, or you can save some money and buy a Coward's Chains belt which is cheaper, and a vial of consequence, which is cheaper. And then you do need to buy a temple, which I think you get the temple that has a level 3 room, the Apex of Sacrifice. You go into that temple, run it. Once you get to that Apex of Sacrifice, you put the Coward's Chain and you put the vial in the vial consequence in there, and out pops a Coward's Legacy. It saves you some currency. I wish I could tell you how much it saves, but POE trade is down. Imagine that. Okay, so yeah, that is all I want to talk about with that. What I'm actually going to do now, guys, is show you guys some gameplay. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a Maze of the Minotaur. We're going to have it watched, and then we're going to do Abyss. This is my Atlas strat that I did mention in that video that I was talking about. We have 2 sextants here. We have the extra essence, and we have an extra Abyss. And we're going to run Abyss on the map device. We're going to make sure it's watched. And typically I would do a Nico if I have it. If I don't, then I don't. But the reason we're doing that is because we do have this node right here, which is a new pickup for the tree. It's basically going to give us more damage. Not more, it's going to give us increased damage, increased movement speed, and actually all res as well, maximum all elemental resistance. And also this node right here, which basically is going to print some free azurite for us, which will then go purchase some resonators for. It's just literally free, basically, right? Okay, so that's the Atlas strategy. We're making a ton of money off of Abyss. So let's do that. And we, like I said, we have a Gilded Abyss Scarab. All right, let's go in. And I'm going to kind of talk about how to play this build as well, because I know a lot of people complain about it being squishy and you die, and sure you do, but if you're playing, especially if you're just doing like regular mapping, you should die very infrequently if you're doing it right. So you're going to be spamming your Laviangus Flask quite a bit to cast, because we're going to be casting often. I literally walk and cast with my totem like this, right? And if you're doing that, you should be killing stuff before it even has the chance to kill you. Okay, so I just popped an Abyss. I'm going to go in front of it, and I died. That's fine. I literally just... okay, that's actually a good example of what you shouldn't do, right? Flame dashing ahead of yourself is the thing that kills you. That's pretty much all that kills you. I actually flame dash into a beast and into a shrine and into an abyss. So yeah, that'll do it. But what I typically do is I run ahead a little bit. I throw down my portal, and that's how I kind of farm these abysses. So that if I die, I can quickly come back. So I go ahead, I put my portal down, farm it, easy peasy. And here's the reason we're doing abysses. It gives you a free spire, or a guaranteed spire every single time, because we're running Gilded Abyss. So that right there is 5 chaos, easy. Let's go do this other abyss. Okay, I'm gonna run ahead. Looks like we have red beast too. I'm gonna put the portal down right here. You'll also notice that my Dying Sun is not going off. Again, I don't have that enchant where it's use on when curse or use when full, because I only use that for bosses or for really hard monsters, maybe like an essence. Hey, look, a divine vessel. Imagine. So yeah, I don't use it that often. All right, we're gonna go ahead. Oh, the beasts are a little scary. Yep. Whew. Alright, no, I don't do beasts, by the way, normally. This is not great that it rolled beasts. Did I accidentally click beasts? I might have. I did not mean to do that. Mistakes were made. That shit is owning me right now. Alright, go back. And we kill our spire. There you go. Stygian Vise, 5 chaos. Oh, a toll map, another 5 chaos. So I do have a toll map as my favorite slot. It sells for pretty good, sells very fast for 5 chaos. So when I get to essences, if it's an easy one like this, I'll just throw down a whole bunch of stuff, totems. Arcanist brand right on it. I'm going to hit my cold snap right on it. I'm going to pop it and run away really fast. Should be able to kill it, no problem. If it is a harder essence, maybe it's got like 4, 5, 6 modifiers, I'll switch to Ice Spear. There might be one more essence. There should be at least 3. Yeah, there's one more. So like this one's got 4, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my ice spear. And I'm gonna pop my dying sun, and it's already dead. And it killed the beast too. Very good. In fact, if you guys want to see, I'm just gonna use ice spear now, and I'll show you what that kind of looks like. Mapping with the +2 projectiles. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, put our portal down. Another thing to note is, oh, shoot. Talking gets me killed a lot. Putting down your summon lightning golem every once in a while, it is going to die. Don't worry about it. Just cast it again. Just kind of keep an eye on it on the top left side of your screen. I will also do a fully juiced crucible, so I'll show you guys what that looks like. Do make sure you're putting your Arcanist brand down every once in a while. There's the Spire, because it is so much damage, so much damage. I think this map has reduced regen on it. That's one of the reasons I'm getting owned right now. Okay, so I'm gonna come back a little bit. I'm gonna put my portal down, and we're gonna juice a full crucible here. Yeah, actually, now that I'm showing this, you guys can see what mine is. I do have that 10% more cast speed. I have that hatred. I only have 40%, goes up to 60. What I'm trying to get is this, but it's not even that big of a deal. It's just some increased area of effect, which pretty much only affects my cold snap. But why not, right? All right, let's juice it all the way. I hope they change this mechanic. They got to make it better. Like maybe make a slider or something. I have no clue when I'm juicing this full. And then you literally just run away. Put your stuff down, run away. Your totems are going to die pretty fast. Just recast them, run away. Oh, it's alright. Most of it's dead already, I think. Maybe go up here. Because this stuff is scary, boys. Which is why it is so good to be a totem build. You can literally just run away. There you go. Fully juiced. Wait, is there a little bit more? Fully juiced crucible. Easy peasy. And we got one more abyss here. Let's see if it goes back or forward. It goes forward, so I'm going to run ahead. I'm going to put my portal down. I'm going to cast my lightning golem. Kill a bunch of stuff. It's moving ahead more. Put my portal up. Got another beast over there. Spire, already dead. So, as you guys can tell, the mapping is pretty easy. I mean, I died twice in this map. One time because I was an idiot and just flame dashed into a giant group of stuff. And then the other time was a beast, a red beast that killed me. Once you get in here, I usually do put my portal up. Stand right here. Put your totems like right here. Come in. He's going to go down. Dash away. And it's dead. Look at that damage. Crazy. Cool. There you go. That's a Minotaur map. Basically, what I've been doing is I've been doing all the Shaper Guardians. Then I'll run a Shaper. And then I will run the Formed right here. And once I run the Formed, I'm going to get Splinters. I then take those Splinters and run the Maven and actually charge people to get their Void Stone, right? So I make some money off of the boss kills for people. And then you also are getting fragments while you do that. In those fragments, you can then run Shaper, right? So Shaper. I do all that. I'm probably at the point where I can start doing Uber Shaper as well. I bet I could do that, no problem. But yeah, so that's the strat. Super simple. A ton of damage. Yeah, and that's all I got on this one. This is day 3 of the build. That was a little bit longer of a video than I thought, but I did want to show you guys some gameplay so you could kind of get an idea of how I actually play the build as well. So I would say maybe another 3 to 4 days, maybe like Thursday of this week or Friday, probably at the latest, I'll be coming out with a quote-unquote in-game version of the build, which is more in-depth. I'll probably have some changes to the build at that point. So be on the lookout for that. And then I would say maybe the week after that, I'm going to release I typically do like a min-maxed version of the build that's, I'm pretty sure we can get this build up to just under 700 million DPS. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So imagine that damage, right? But times 10. That's the damage that we can get with this build. Pretty crazy. Alright guys, that's all I got on this one. If you are playing this, let me know in the comment section. I hope this video helped out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.